The alarm bells rang across Terra Station like the screams of dying metal. Admiral Jake Morrison jumped from his chair and stared at the massive screens that covered the command center walls. Red dots appeared everywhere, hundreds of them, then thousands. Ships were coming out of hyperspace all around Earth. "Sir, we have unknown vessels appearing in all sectors," reported Lieutenant Karen Davis, her voice shaking. "They're big, Admiral, really big." Jake had been in space for 20 years. He had seen asteroid storms and solar flares. He had fought pirates and smugglers. But he had never seen anything like this. The ships were beautiful and terrible at the same time. They looked like giant metal snakes floating in the darkness of space. Their hulls shimmered with colors that changed as they moved. Ports along their sides glowed with orange light, like they were breathing fire. "How many?" Jake asked. "Still counting, sir. At least 3,000 ships, maybe more." Jake felt his stomach drop. Earth's entire defense fleet had only 800 ships. Most of them were small fighters and patrol boats. These alien ships were each the size of a city down on Earth. People were starting to notice. In New York, London, and Tokyo, millions of people stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky. The alien ships were so big that they blocked out the sun in some places. Children pointed and asked their parents what the strange objects were. The parents had no answers. Dr. Lisa Campbell was in her lab at the Global Research Center when her assistant ran in. "Doctor, you need to see this," he said, turning on the wall screen. Lisa dropped her coffee mug when she saw the ships. "My God," she whispered, "we're not alone." The ships stayed silent for 3 hours. Earth's leaders tried everything to talk to them. They sent radio signals, light patterns, even simple math problems. Nothing worked. The alien ships just hung there, waiting. Captain Ben Parker was getting his squadron ready for patrol when the alert came. His fighters were small and fast, built for protecting trade routes and chasing smugglers. Now they might have to fight ships that could crush them like bugs. "Listen up, people," Ben told his pilots over the radio. "We don't know what these things want, but we're going to be ready. Stay close to your wingman and follow my lead." "Captain," said his best pilot, Lieutenant Amy Foster, "what if they're friendly?" Ben looked at the formation of alien ships on his screen. They had positioned themselves over every major city on Earth. That wasn't the action of visitors. That was the setup for an attack. "I don't think they're here to make friends, Foster." At exactly noon, Earth time, the alien ships began to broadcast. Every radio, television, and computer on the planet received the same message at the same time. The voice was deep and cold, like winter wind through a graveyard. "People of Earth," the voice said in perfect English, "we are the Draconian Empire. Your species has spread beyond your birth world. This violates the ancient laws of the galaxy. You have built colonies on 3-star systems. You have claimed worlds that do not belong to you." Jake Morrison felt. His blood turned to ice. How did they know about Earth's colonies? Those settlements were secret, hidden from any possible alien contact. The voice continued. "We have watched 17 species make this same mistake. All of them learned the price of defying the natural order. We are the apex predators of the galaxy. We have ruled for 10,000 years. No species that expands beyond its home world is permitted to survive." In her lab, Dr. Lisa Campbell was recording everything. She had spent her life studying the possibility of alien contact. She had always hoped it would be peaceful. Now she knew the hope was dead. "You have 1 hour to surrender," the alien voice said. "Gather your leaders in your largest cities. Prepare for judgment. Those who resist will suffer greatly before they die. Those who surrender will die quickly. This is the only mercy we offer." The transmission ended. For a moment, the entire planet was silent. Then the panic began. In space, Jake Morrison watched as his sensors detected movement from the alien ships. Smaller craft were launching from the big ones. These looked like fighters, but they were twice the size of human ships. All units, battle. Stations, Jake ordered. This is not a drill. Ben Parker's squadron was the first to meet the alien fighters. As they approached, Ben could see that the enemy ships were sleek and deadly. They moved through space like living things, twisting and turning in ways that seemed impossible. Contact in 30 seconds, Ben reported. They're fast people, really fast. The first battle lasted only minutes. The alien fighters were faster than anything Earth had ever built. They seemed to know what the human pilots were going to do before they did it. Ben watched in horror as half his squadron was destroyed in the first attack. Fall back, he ordered. All units, fall back to Terra Station. But the aliens weren't done. As the human fighters retreated, the big alien ships began to move. They were heading for Earth's surface. Jake Morrison knew what was coming next. The aliens weren't just going to destroy Earth's defenses. They were going to land troops on the planet itself. Send a message to all colony worlds, Jake ordered. Tell them Earth is under attack. Tell them to prepare for war. As the first alien landing ships entered Earth's atmosphere, Jake Morrison made a promise to himself. These aliens might be stronger and faster than humans. They might have better weapons and bigger ships. But they had made one mistake. They had given humans something to fight for. The Draconians had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had destroyed 17 species, but they had never fought humans before. They were about to learn that some prey fights back. The first Draconian troops landed in the Australian desert just after midnight. General Susan Wright watched the live feed from her command center deep under Colorado. The alien ships touched down like giant metal eggs, opening up to release. Their cargo of death, the creatures that stepped out, were nightmares made real. They stood 7 feet tall on powerful legs. Their skin looked like armor made of green and black scales. Their heads were long and narrow like snakes, with yellow eyes that glowed in the dark. Sharp claws extended from their fingers, and their mouths were full of teeth designed for tearing flesh. "Get me Colonel Rodriguez," Susan ordered. "We need boots on the ground now." Marine Colonel Danny Rodriguez was already moving his forces toward the landing site when the call came. His men were good soldiers, but they had trained to fight other humans. These aliens were something else entirely. "Remember your training," Danny told his Marines as they approached the crash site. "Aim for center mass. Stay together. Watch each other's backs." The first contact came at dawn. Danny's scouts reported movement in the rocks ahead. The aliens moved like hunters, spreading out in perfect formation. They made no sound as they advanced. "Here they come," whispered Sergeant First Class Pete Williams over the radio. He was hidden behind a boulder with his rifle ready. "They're bigger than the pictures showed." The battle started when one of the aliens spotted a Marine position. The creature let out a sound that was part roar and part hiss. It was a signal that brought the other aliens running. The Marines opened fire with everything they had. Their bullets hit the aliens, but the creatures kept coming. Their natural armor was thick enough to stop most small arms fire. It took multiple hits to bring one down, but the aliens had their own problems. They expected their enemies to run. When they saw them, humans did not run. The Marines held their positions and kept firing, even when the aliens were close enough to smell. Danny watched his men fight with pride and fear. The aliens were strong and fast, but they fought like animals. They relied on fear and intimidation. When that did not work, they seemed confused. "They're learning our tactics," Danny reported to General Wright. "Every time we use a strategy, they adapt to it faster than we expected. The first ground battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, Danny had lost 12 men, with 37. Aliens were dead. For creatures that had conquered 17 worlds, they had not expected such losses from what they saw as primitive humans in space. Commander Amy Foster was developing new ways to fight the alien ships. Her squadron had learned that the Draconian fighters were faster and stronger, but they had weaknesses too. They fight like bullies, Amy told her pilots during a brief rest between attacks. They expect us to be afraid. When we fight back hard, they get confused. Amy had discovered that the alien pilots were used to easy victories. They had never fought an enemy that used unpredictable tactics. Human pilots would ram enemy ships, use debris as weapons, or sacrifice themselves to save. Others, this confused the aliens, who fought only to win, never to save their comrades. Hit and run, Amy ordered her remaining fighters. Don't try to match them in straight combat. Use their speed against them. Make them chase you into our defense platforms. The new tactics worked better than anyone hoped. By the end of the second day, Amy's pilots had destroyed twice as many enemy fighters as they had lost. The aliens were starting to avoid direct combat with human squadrons. Back in her lab, Dr. Lisa Campbell was working with pieces of alien technology recovered from the battlefield. What she found amazed and terrified her. Their technology is thousands of years old, she told General Wright during a video call. These weapons and armor designs haven't changed in centuries. They're more advanced than ours, but they've stopped improving. What does that mean for us? Susan asked. It means they've never needed to adapt. Every species they've fought has been weaker than them. They've never faced an enemy that could force them to change their tactics. Lisa pulled up files on her computer showing alien battle recordings from other worlds. Look at this. They used the exact same landing pattern on all 17 worlds they conquered. The same troop formations. The same attack strategies. They're not just fighters, General. They're a machine that's run the same program for thousands of years. Meanwhile, Sergeant Pete Williams was making discoveries of his own. The demolitions. Expert had been studying pieces of alien armor brought back from the battlefield. This stuff is tough, but it has weak points, Pete told his squad. The joints where the plates meet. The base of the neck. If we can make explosives that focus the blast on these spots, we can punch through. Pete worked through the night, creating new types of grenades and charges. His first test was successful. The focused explosive could crack draconian armor like an egg. We're going to need a lot more of these, Danny Rodriguez said when he saw the test results as the second day of the invasion ended. Both sides were learning about each other. The Draconians had expected a quick victory, followed by the complete destruction of humanity. Instead, they found an enemy that hit back harder when cornered. The aliens called for reinforcements from their home fleet. They had never needed help before, but these humans were different from any species they had encountered. In her command center, General Susan Wright looked at the casualty reports. The losses were heavy, but not as bad as they could have been. More importantly, her forces were learning how to fight these monsters. They think they're the perfect predators, Susan said to her staff. They've never learned what happens when the prey has claws of its own. Above Earth, more alien ships were arriving every hour. The real battle was just beginning. But for the first time since the invasion started, humans were not just surviving. They were winning. The Draconian reinforcement fleet arrived like a storm of metal and death. 3 times as many ships as before dropped out of hyperspace around Earth. The largest ship was different from the others. It was massive, shaped like a coiled serpent, with wings, and it pulsed with dark energy. Admiral Jake Morrison stared at the new arrival on his screens. What is that thing? Lieutenant Karan Davis checked her instruments twice before answering. It's 5 miles long, sir. Energy readings are off the charts. I've never seen anything like it. Inside the giant ship, War Prime Sector studied the reports from his ground commanders. The War Prime was ancient, even by draconian standards. His scales were black as space, marked with scars from 100 battles. He had personally conquered 12 worlds. No species had ever lasted more than 30 days against him. Impossible, Sector hissed as he read the casualty reports. These humans should have surrendered after the first day. How are they still fighting? His subordinate, a younger draconian named Velkosh, shifted nervously. War Prime, the humans, fight differently than other species. They do not retreat when they should. They sacrifice themselves for others. They learn from every battle. Sector's yellow eyes blazed with anger. They are prey animals. They cannot defeat us. Increase the assault. Land more troops. Destroy their cities. Down on Earth, engineer Kelly Brooks was working 18-hour days to upgrade the planetary defense systems. She had been awake for 3 days straight, living on coffee and determination. We need more power, Kelly told her team as they installed new weapon systems. The alien ships are too strong for our current setup. Kelly had been studying the wreckage of destroyed draconian ships. Their technology was incredibly advanced, but it was also predictable. Every ship had the same design, the same weapons, the same weaknesses. They're like a perfect machine, Kelly explained to her engineers. But machines can't adapt. We can. She began designing hybrid systems that combined human creativity with alien technology. The results were weapons that the Draconians had never seen before and could not predict. Pilot Rick Stone led the most dangerous mission of the war so far. His team had been ordered to capture a Draconian command ship intact. It was a suicide mission, and everyone knew it. Remember, we need their computers and communication systems, Rick told his assault team as they approached the alien ship. The intelligence could save the entire planet. The boarding action was brutal. The Draconians fought like demons to protect their ship, but Rick's team had advantages the aliens did not expect. Humans could think creatively in combat. They used the ship's own systems against its crew. Sergeant Pete Williams had equipped the assault team with his new focused explosives. The bombs could punch through alien armor and cut through ship walls like paper. Within 2 hours, the command ship was captured. We did it, Rick reported back to Terra Station. We have their ship and their computers. The intelligence gathered from the captured ship changed everything. Dr. Lisa Campbell worked with a team of code breakers to translate the alien files. What they found was shocking. They've been using the same battle tactics for over 1,000 years, Lisa told General Susan Wright. Look at these records. Every world they conquered fell to the exact same strategy. They land troops, intimidate the population, and wait for surrender. Susan studied the alien files with growing understanding. They've never fought a species that adapted to their tactics. It's worse than that, Lisa continued. They've become so dominant that they've stopped evolving as warriors. They're like a perfect predator that has never met another predator. They don't know how to fight an equal opponent. The captured files revealed another shocking truth. The Draconians had been broadcasting their easy victory over Earth to other species in the galaxy. They were using the conquest of humanity as a threat to keep other worlds in line. Captain Ben Parker returned from a deep space reconnaissance mission with disturbing news. They're advertising our destruction, he reported to Admiral Morrison. Every species in this part of the galaxy thinks we're already dead. Jake Morrison realized the implications immediately. If other species think we're defeated, they won't. Resist when the Draconians come for them next. The war was bigger than just Earth. Humanity was fighting for the freedom of the entire galaxy. War Prime. Sector was experiencing something he had never felt before: doubt. His forces were taking heavy casualties, and the human resistance was getting stronger, not weaker. His subordinates were starting to question his tactics. "Perhaps we should negotiate," suggested Velkash during a strategy meeting. "The humans are more dangerous than we expected." Sektar's roar shook the command chamber. "We do not negotiate. With prey, we are the apex predators of the galaxy. These humans will learn their place." But privately, Sektar was worried. He had never lost a battle before. The idea that he might lose to a species the Draconians considered primitive was unthinkable. On Earth, the tide of battle was changing. Colonel Danny Rodriguez's Marines were using new tactics that combined human unpredictability with captured alien weapons. They had learned to fight like the Draconians, but with human creativity added. "Set up the ambush here," Danny ordered his troops as they prepared to attack an alien landing site. "Use their hunting instincts against them. Make them think they're chasing scattered survivors." The plan worked perfectly. The Draconians followed what they thought were fleeing humans right into a trap. For the first time in their history, they experienced what it felt like to be hunted. Commander Amy Foster's space fighters were now equipped with Kelly Brook's hybrid weapons. The new systems could damage Draconian ships in ways the aliens had never experienced. "They're adapting to our old tactics," Amy told her pilots. "But they can't adapt to tactics that don't exist yet. We're going to make up new strategies in the middle of combat." The humans were learning to fight like their enemies, but they kept their most important advantage: the ability to change, to grow, and to refuse to give up. As the third day of the invasion ended, War Prime Sektar faced a reality he had never imagined. His perfect war machine was being defeated by prey that had become predators. Admiral Jake Morrison sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display with a slight smile. Operation Mousetrap was working better than anyone had dared to hope. Using the captured Draconian communication equipment, his team had been sending false reports throughout the galaxy for 3 days. "Send another transmission," Jake ordered Lieutenant Karen Davis. "Tell them that the human resistance has collapsed. Make it sound like we're begging for mercy." Karen typed the message using the alien codes they had learned. To any Draconian ship listening, it would sound like their forces on Earth were winning. Easily, the lie was drawing more and more enemy ships to the Sol system. "Sir, we have 15 more Draconian vessels dropping out of hyperspace," reported the sensor operator. "They're heading straight for the trap." Jake watched as the new arrivals flew directly into the asteroid field, where Commander Amy Foster's pilots were waiting. The Draconians expected to find defeated human ships running away. Instead, they found an ambush. Amy Foster had turned her fighters into something the galaxy had never seen before. Using Kelly Brook's hybrid technology, the human ships could appear on sensors as damaged freighters or civilian transports. The Draconians, following their instinct to hunt down survivors, flew straight into carefully planned attacks. "Ghost leader to all units." Amy spoke calmly into her radio. "We have fresh meat incoming. Remember, look scared until they get close, then show them what Earth really thinks of bullies." The newest group of Draconian ships approached what they thought were fleeing refugee vessels. At the last second, the helpless human ships revealed their true nature. Weapons that should not exist on civilian ships opened fire with devastating effect. "Target destroyed," reported Lieutenant Carl Mason from his modified transport. "These guys really need to learn not to chase wounded animals." The psychological effect on the Draconian forces was immediate and terrifying. For the first time in their species' history, they were afraid. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years were being hunted by their supposed prey down on Earth's surface. Colonel Danny Rodriguez was teaching the Draconians another lesson they had never learned. His Marines had stopped fighting like defenders and started fighting like predators. "The aliens expect us to protect our cities," Danny explained to his officers. "So we're going to let them think they're winning while we hunt them in the wilderness." The strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. Danny's forces would appear to retreat from draconian attacks, leading the aliens away from populated areas and into prepared kill zones. The draconians, used to terrified populations hiding in their cities, followed eagerly. "Contact, 200 meters," whispered Sergeant Pete Williams over the radio. His squad was hidden in a forest, waiting for a draconian patrol to walk into. Their trap. They're moving in single file. Perfect targets. Pete had spent weeks studying alien movement patterns. The draconians moved like apex predators, confident and unafraid. They had never learned to be cautious, because they had never needed to be. The ambush was over in seconds. Pete's new explosives, designed specifically for draconian anatomy, eliminated the entire patrol before they could send a warning. The aliens who had conquered 17 worlds were learning what it felt like to be prey. Dr. Lisa Campbell's research team had made the breakthrough everyone had been hoping for. Working with captured alien technology, they had developed a weapon that targeted the draconians' enhanced nervous system. The neural disruptors work by overloading their brain functions, Lisa explained to General Susan Wright. The aliens have superior reflexes and coordination, but that makes them vulnerable to this type of attack. The first field test was conducted on captured draconian prisoners. The effect was immediate and complete. The proud alien warriors became confused and helpless, unable to coordinate their movements or think clearly. "Mass-produce these immediately," Susan ordered. "I want every human soldier equipped with neural disruptors within 48 hours. Engineer Kelly Brooks was putting the finishing touches on her masterpiece. The new planetary defense system did not just protect Earth from attack. It actively hunted enemy ships throughout the solar system. The defense grid is fully operational," Kelly reported to Admiral Morrison. "We now have weapons platforms hidden in the asteroid belt, around the moon, and in orbit around Mars. Any draconian ship that enters our system will be tracked and destroyed." The system worked by using the aliens' own confidence against them. Draconian ships entered the solar system, expecting easy victories. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by weapons they had never seen before. War Prime Sektar stood in his command chamber, staring at reports that made no sense. His forces were not just losing. They were being systematically destroyed by an enemy that should have been extinct days ago. "Impossible," Sektar hissed as he read the latest casualty reports. "We have lost 60 ships in the last day alone. How are these primitive creatures doing this?" His subordinate Velkash was visibly shaking. "War Prime, the humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered. They learn from every battle. They adapt faster than we can counter their tactics." Sektar's rage was like a living thing. He had conquered 12 worlds personally. He had never lost a single battle. The idea that these humans could defeat him was beyond his comprehension. "Prepare my personal fighter," Sektar commanded. "I will lead the next assault myself. These humans will learn why I'm called the perfect predator." But as he prepared for battle, Sektar felt something he had never experienced before. For the first time in his long life, the perfect predator was afraid. Captain Ben Parker intercepted the transmission about Sektar's planned personal attack. He smiled as he shared the news with his squadron. "The big boss is coming out to play," Ben told his pilots. "Let's show him what happens when a bully picks on someone who fights back." The stage was set for the final confrontation. The Draconians had come to Earth expecting to add another easy victory to their collection. Instead, they had found an enemy that turned their greatest strength into their fatal weakness. The hunters had become the hunted, and they were about to learn that some prey has very sharp teeth. The Draconian home fleet received the final transmission from Earth at exactly midnight Galactic Standard Time. The message was brief and filled with static, but the words were clear enough to send shock waves through the entire Draconian Empire. "This is War Prime Sector?" the voice crackled through space. "The humans are not what we expected. They are not prey. They are something else, something worse. Request immediate evacuation. Repeat, request immediate evacuation of all forces." Then silence. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the defeated Draconian command ship floating dead in space. The battle had been fierce, but short. The aliens who had terrorized the galaxy for thousands of years had finally met their match. "All Draconian vessels in the system have been destroyed or captured," reported Lieutenant Karen Davis. "We're receiving surrender signals from the outer patrol ships." Jake nodded slowly. It was hard to believe that just 1 week ago, Earth had been facing extinction. Now the most feared empire in the galaxy was begging for mercy. The final assault on the Draconian command ship had been led by Captain Ben Parker and his volunteers. They had fought their way through deck after deck of alien warriors, but the enemy resistance had been weaker than expected. The neural disruptors had broken the aliens' ability to coordinate their defense. "We found their leader," Ben reported. "Over the radio. War Prime Sector is dead. He challenged me to single combat. Said it was the Draconian way." Jake remembered the reports from that fight. Ben Parker, a human pilot who had learned to fly in Earth's atmosphere, had faced the perfect predator of the galaxy in hand-to-hand combat. The alien had been stronger, faster, and more experienced. But Ben had something the Draconian could never understand: the human refusal to give up. The fight had lasted only minutes. Sector had expected Ben to break when faced with superior force. Instead, the human had fought harder when wounded, more viciously when cornered. The perfect predator had died confused and afraid, unable to comprehend how a lesser species could defeat him. Dr. Lisa Campbell was analyzing the final data from the Draconian computers when she made the most important discovery of the war. The aliens had not just invaded Earth. They had been preparing to attack dozens of other worlds based on their expected easy victory over humanity. "Look at this," Lisa told General Susan Wright as they studied the alien battle plans. "They were going to use our defeat as proof that resistance was hopeless. Every free species in the galaxy would have surrendered without a fight." Susan realized the full implications immediately. "We didn't just save Earth. We saved everyone." The surviving Draconian forces were attempting to flee back to their home worlds, but they found their escape routes blocked. Kelly Brook's planetary defense systems had spread throughout the solar system, and now human ships equipped with captured alien technology were patrolling the hyperspace routes. "No one leaves," Jake Morrison had ordered. "Not until we're sure. This threat is ended forever." The neural disruptors had been deployed on a massive scale. Every human ship, every defense platform, every ground installation was equipped with the weapons that could instantly disable Draconian nervous systems. The proud alien warriors found themselves helpless, their superior technology useless against weapons designed specifically for their biology. Commander Amy Foster led the final sweep of the outer system, hunting down the last Draconian survivors. Her pilots had become something new, humans who fought with alien technology but kept their human souls. "Ghost leader to Terra Station," Amy reported as her squadron destroyed the last enemy ship. "All contacts eliminated. The system is clear." In the ruins of the Draconian landing zones, Colonel Danny Rodriguez's Marines were discovering the full scope of the alien presence on Earth. The creatures had been preparing for a long occupation, expecting to strip the planet bare of resources. After eliminating the human population, they brought mining equipment, processing plants, everything needed to turn Earth into another conquered world, Danny reported to his superiors. They were planning to erase every sign that humans ever existed. Sergeant Pete Williams found something else in the alien camps that made his blood run cold. records of the 17 other species the Draconians had destroyed, pictures, videos, and biological samples from worlds that no longer existed. They kept trophies, Pete told Danny in a voice filled with rage. Every species they wiped out, they kept pieces as souvenirs. The discovery sparked a new determination in the human forces. This was not just about survival anymore. It was about justice for every species that had died under Draconian rule. As news of the victory spread to Earth's colonies, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Every human settlement, every mining station, every research outpost began preparing for the next phase of the war, because the humans had realized something the Draconians never understood. The galaxy was not a place where the strong ruled the weak forever. It was a place where new predators could evolve, where prey could develop claws, where the natural order could be overturned by intelligence, determination, and the refusal to accept extinction. Dr. Campbell's final report to the Terran Defense Council was simple and direct. The Draconian Empire is ended. Their technology is ours. Their tactics are known. Their weaknesses are exposed. Most importantly, every species in the galaxy now knows that the perfect predators can be defeated. The galaxy had spent thousands of years in fear of the Draconian Empire. Now it had new protectors. Humans had not just survived the ultimate test. They had passed it by becoming something the universe had never seen before. A species that could not be intimidated, could not be conquered, and would not allow others to be enslaved. The Draconians had invaded Earth with the intention of adding humanity to their collection of extinct species. None of them returned home to tell the story, because there was no story to tell. Only silence where once there had been the roar of perfect predators. The galaxy belonged to a new apex species now. And unlike their predecessors, these new rulers fought not for domination, but for the freedom of all species to live without fear. Humanity had learned to hunters, and the hunt was just beginning.